In the Nevada desert, a lake is disappearing. And as it vanishes, it's giving up a secret America buried on purpose. Stone foundations, old chimneys, the outline of streets no one has walked in decades, a whole town rising from the mud. The story starts in 1865, when a group of Mormon pioneers set out to settle new land along the muddy river. They believed they were settling in Utah. Turns out, an 1870 survey proved otherwise. They were actually in Nevada. With irrigation from the muddy river, the settlers turned harsh desert soil into productive farmland within a single year. By the early 1900s, St. Thomas had grown into a real town, a school, a post office, even an ice cream parlor. It became a supply stop for travelers moving between Los Angeles and Salt Lake City, a small but thriving desert crossroads. Families raised children here. Kids walked to a schoolhouse under the cottonwoods. Nobody imagined it would all disappear. Then, in 1928, a bill was signed in Washington, one that would seal St. Thomas's fate forever, the Hoover Dam. Construction began in the canyon downstream, a wall of concrete taller than any building St. Thomas had ever seen. The government told residents plainly, when the dam is finished, the water will come and St. Thomas will disappear. One by one, families packed what they could carry and left behind the homes their grandparents had built by hand. By 1935, the Colorado River's new reservoir began creeping toward town, inch by inch, street by street. One man refused to leave. Hugh Lord stayed until the very end, watching the water climb toward his front door. In June 1938, he set his home on fire, climbed into a rowboat, and rowed away from the only life he'd known. By the time the water settled, St. Thomas sat 60 feet beneath the surface of a brand new lake, Lake Mead. For years, boats sailed above the schoolhouse, the ice cream parlor, and the streets where children once played. Then, in 1945, drought pulled the water back, and St. Thomas rose from the lake for the very first time. Former residents came back for a reunion, walking the outlines of streets they hadn't seen in 7 long years. But the reunion didn't last. The rains returned, and once again, the water rose to reclaim the town. In 1963, the town resurfaced again, and this time, it stayed above water for 9 remarkable years. When the water finally returned in 1972, St. Thomas disappeared again and stayed hidden for the next 3 decades. Then came the 2000s and a drought unlike any before. Las Vegas was booming and Lake Mead couldn't keep up. Then came the 2002 and a drought. St. Thomas has stayed exposed, the longest it's ever been above water since the dam was built. Today, visitors can walk a marked trail through the ruins, past foundations, chimneys, and the ghost of a schoolhouse. Close up, you can still see the outline of a doorway, a hearth, a foundation, where a family once sat down to dinner. But St. Thomas isn't just a curiosity, it's a warning. A preview of what happens when a desert runs out of water. 90% of Las Vegas's water comes from this very lake, the same lake that swallowed St. Thomas whole. As the water drops, the lake has revealed more than a town, sunken boats, and even long-lost human remains. Long before pioneers arrived, this valley was home to the ancestral Puebloan people, whose ruins also lie beneath the lake. Before the waters rose, archaeologists rushed to rescue what they could, artifacts now preserved at the Lost City Museum. Twice reclaimed by water, twice given back by drought, St. Thomas has become something like America's most stubborn ghost. And St. Thomas isn't alone. Across the country, dozens of towns lie flooded beneath America's reservoirs, waiting. Even the dead weren't left behind. Before the flood, St. Thomas's cemetery was carefully relocated to nearby Overton. Stand here today, and you're standing on what was once Main Street, now just cracked earth under an open desert sky. Step back, and the full scale hits you. An entire community erased and revived twice by the same body of water. As the sun sets over St. Thomas, you can almost hear it. A schoolyard, a front porch, a town that once was home. A lone hiker pauses at the edge of the ruins, looking out over what remains. History that refuses to stay hidden. So the question isn't just what happened to St. Thomas, it's what happens next, as the water keeps disappearing. For now, St. Thomas stands in the open air, 60 years underwater, and still, somehow, still standing. For now, it's a reminder that history in America doesn't always stay buried. Sometimes, it just waits for the water to fall. So next time a lake looks a little too calm, ask yourself, what might be resting just beneath the surface?